says, is it fair to say a lot of our cuss words? See, does bring up a good point. Is it fair to say a lot of our cuss words are attributed to characteristics of an animal or person, bee, jackal, etc.? Didn't Jesus do the same when he called the Pharisees vipers, playing devil's advocate? He does bring up a good point because, and they kind of mention it in this article, the fact that when we look at that scripture and the one in Ephesians where it says, let no corrupt speech, and a lot of times people use that one when it refers to cursing, but really it's bigger than cursing. It is like, so you can have corrupt and profane some of the things Christians say about each other, and they say about people that they don't agree with. That scripture applies way more to that than even cursing. And I don't curse because I just been programmed. I claim to be independent. I claim to be independent, but deep in my heart, I'm a white evangelical Republican. So I don't smoke weed. I don't curse. But I think it is cultural. It's some curse words that are curse words here in America that if you go to London, it's just not a curse word. You know what I mean? And vice versa. It's words that we say here, so I think we probably should not curse because it's a stumbling and it gives the wrong impression to other people. Yeah. But is it as big of a deal as we make it?
I want to piggyback off what you said because I thought about that this week too. About
when you was cussing?
No.
No, I was cussing this weekend.
I was just thinking about this.
I was just thinking. I was thinking about it in the aspect of exactly what you're saying is that a lot of times as Christians, we may try to avoid certain cuss words, but there's still filthy communication coming out of our mouth. The way how we speak down to our brothers and sisters, how we curse our brothers and sisters, like how we it's just so funny. Like we talk about this a lot of times, how like we pick and choose what we want to pull from scripture and apply to our lives, and and it makes it easy. It's like it's definitely, I'll speak for myself. Like definitely growing up in the church is easier to walk a line of like I'm not going to say a curse word, but because that's the easy pass. But like, how do you speak to somebody who just made you upset? How do you communicate to them? What are you saying in your heart about that person? How are you like? That's a harder road to walk out, than just to avoid like a curse word, So, I do find it interesting that we do that.
Yeah, and that replacing that what we do, the Christian thing we do of replacing curse words, right?
Perfected it.
This is the thing too, though, because at a certain point, at a certain point, it's like, what word am I thinking about when you replace it?
Okay,
like,
let's talk
you
about
might
this.
as well just say
I've been saying that.
Okay, let's have this conversation.
Let's go.
I'm glad you said that.
My whole life. Okay, this is the history.
Your whole life.
Okay. So, I can tell you the one man who started it all over the world is David James.
Wow.
Okay, David James started, and then it grew into an infection, like a virus in all of Glory Cloud, and then Glory Cloud sent it out to the world. But here's the thing, though.
That was the Glory Cloud.
I'm really legitly, I am not thinking about the word. Now, I do this on a daily basis. I do.
When people hear you say it.
Pastor dropped. Yes. So, I mean, if people hear it and they think about the word because they're not as saved as me, I guess. Okay, but like when I say S, I'm not thinking about the full word. To me, the letter has become a word. But I think when I do say it, people do hear. They hear like always like, oh, mother effing S. even make sense as a curse word. Like
It
if it was
would being a white
Nah.
and evangelical Republican.
That is probably how they cuss. Yeah.
okay, is that wrong? Am I in sin?
Yeah, I think it's just because we gotta do the work of interpretation. Because we gotta think. So in our interpretive work, we're gonna have to search what you mean. And at some point we're gonna be like, well.
Exactly.
That's the biggest struggle.
Yeah,
Okay. I don't know. I got my wife is like the sweetest woman in the world. She does it now. It's what? I'm telling you, Pastor Ben, we gonna get you. You're gonna be like, oh, D. I'm not thinking of the word. It's just the letter. It's just I'm just thinking about the letter, but I don't know. Maybe I will change my.
One thing I wanted to share real quick, just that, like, I think the point that B Plus made about, even when we think about God use these terms, Jesus used these terms, right? And I think sometimes the logic in our mind is, well, we need to be like Jesus. We need to be like God. But the way I look at stuff like that, I think about that when Jesus flipped the tables, right? I think about things like that. When I try to make that line between me and Jesus, even certain apostles, I'm like, yo, I'm not them, right? So, like, if I can say, if I know the scripture says be angry and sin not, I'm not going to lean to being angry because, well, Jesus was angry. Because I don't know if my anger is always Jesus
Right,
angry.
might not. Right.
So in the same respect, I think when we look at even the strong terminology and we're like, God did it, it's like, well, he's God, right? So when he uses it, he uses it perfectly. Same thing with jealousy. God was jealous. All right. But I don't really know the righteous way to be jealous. You know what I'm saying?
You,
So I just be trying to like pray and try to stay away from certain things because I'm like, I'm not perfect, so I'm probably gonna handle this wrong, and not the way that they can. So let me know God does it, but I probably shouldn't be out here, trying to. I'm gonna do it for the wrong reasons at times.
Now, if anybody does struggle, let's say you see God does it and you struggle, we can wean you off, okay? You go from the words, you work to the initials, and then
before you know it, it's gone.
You living a cuss-free life. All right.
Cut the whole word off.
B+ says, I'm a church kid and don't cuss, but over the years I've softened my stance. It's more of a wisdom issue than a sin issue, in my humble opinion. I would agree with. I would agree with that. I mean,
I agree with that.
Well, yeah. I mean, like there's this. I think this happened. I heard this happened at a church. I'm not going to say which church because I don't know if it really happened. But there was a missionary at a church, and he was talking to the church about missions and giving an announcement, and people were talking and they weren't really listening. And then he says, y'all don't really give a F. And this is a huge church. If I said the church, everybody would know it. It's like one of the biggest churches in this area. He says to the whole church, y'all don't really give a F. Anyway, something like that. Whole church stops and is like, what did you just say? And then what he says after that, and some people may disagree, but I got his point was, you guys care more about the fact that I just said S than the children that we're talking about trying to save. And I do think that is a thing in Christianity. Not that you can't have more than one issue, but I think we tend to focus more on the superficial. It's like when Jesus said, like, you focus on these minor things, but you forget the major things of love, justice. It was love, justice, and I forgot the other one. Sorry, Jesus. But you know what I mean? Like we focus on the minor things, but forget the major. So I mean, maybe Christians should not be out here cussing. But you know what? I would rather. I mean, again, I'm having a hard time saying this because, like I said, deep in my heart is Kenneth Copeland. And so it is a deep, old white 80-year-old evangelical. So cussing to me still makes me think you're not saved somewhere. But in reality, it should bother me more than a person who is not living out the gospel, taking care of the widows, the poor, those needy, than some person who drops the H bomb or F bomb every once in a while, but they're living out the gospel. Like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't compare, but which one really is more important? So, for wisdom's sake, and because I'm a white 80-year-old Republican in my heart, I don't cuss. But I mean, to each his own. I think we need to focus on the things that really matter, and then if we can perfect the things that really matter, then maybe we can work our way back.